Well, another interesting turn of events this week has to do with a second impeachment of Trump. And I'm sure that's on some of your plates for conversation. People are talking about whether or not it made sense to impeach him, whether it makes sense to go through a trial in the Senate to convict or pursue a conviction. And McConnell has been, well, I'll talk about McConnell in a minute. The idea that McConnell has put it out there that he's not sure whether he would convict or not is very, very telling. The biggest thing it's telling of is that McConnell is no longer the majority leader. In a week, McConnell will have no more power. And so the political animal that he is has to evaluate what's happening to the Republican Party that he will no longer have the influence over that he has had for as long as he's had it. As soon as Biden is sworn in, McConnell will no longer be driving that train. And so he's got to be more subtle about what it is that he's trying to accomplish. And I think he believes removing Trump permanently from the Republican Party might be the best thing for the party. Of course, I believe he's right, if that's what he's thinking. But that's what I believe he's thinking. And that's why he's putting it out there that he's not sure how he'll vote. That makes it possible that a conviction could happen in the Senate. And that matters. Because if Trump's convicted, he then will no longer be able to run again for political office. And the Republican Party can get on with defining itself, finding itself, defining itself, and moving on to something more reasonably respectable, more likely to be a part of our political landscape longer into the future. And I think that would be a good thing, because I think right now that political party, the Republican Party, is disjointed and perhaps in a fatal way. I don't know yet, but so disjointed right now because of the way Trump has incited so many of that party's members to follow these beliefs without any validity. And so you have these long-standing Republicans from Republican families who've had these moral convictions and beliefs that the Republican Party has for eons kind of supported, now in conflict with the Trumpists who have been caught up in Trump's self-serving shifts and changes to the party. And they've got to work that out somehow. Removing Trump by conviction in the Senate would be one way to do it. And I think that's what McConnell's wavering is about. We'll see what happens. The trial will take place. No one wants it to interfere with Biden's agenda once he gets into office. But that's going to be an interesting thing on its own to see whether or not Biden is as bold as might be palatable for even the Democrats in this country. I fear that there may be in response to what we've endured with Trump, there may be this cautious movement forward rather than bold action that Democrats have been yearning for some time. And I think the Democrats ought to act boldly in ways that define who they are and what they want the world to be, how they want to be in the world, so that Americans can decide for themselves whether or not that is the way in which we want to continue at the next election and make a real choice between reasonable parties. Clearly, I think in this last election, there was a significant necessity to vote to get Trump out, even more so than to define, to vote to define who we are and what specifically we do want. It was an election about what we know we don't want, any more of his nonsense. So the impeachment twice, that's historical, nobody's been impeached twice, won't mean much, and in fact, without a conviction, could undermine the idea of what an impeachment is supposed to mean anyway. If Trump isn't convicted, he was already impeached, and it didn't seem to affect him. It certainly didn't slow down the volume of his lies, the dangerousness of them, and the violence that then occurred thereafter. So he wasn't hindered, certainly in any noticeable way that would cause a next president or others to be concerned about with respect to impeachment. He just did his thing and kept on moving forward. Now he's been impeached twice. If he is not convicted, I fear this may undermine any effectiveness related to impeachment in general, if there's any kind of memory that we have as we move forward in our future. It's funny how little we remember about Nixon and Watergate. And it really wasn't that long ago. But such is life. Thank you, sincerely, for listening to my videos. Please subscribe. It's free. And please comment. I really do read your comments, and I do try to respond. If you have any ideas about what more you'd like to see or ways in which you might be interested in partnering, feel free to reach out. Thanks again very much.